In order to read Hebrew, you need two things. You need to know the Hebrew letters, and you need to know the vowels. You put them together, and you can read Hebrew. Let's remind ourselves of the Hebrew vowels. Here is the first one, A. A is accomplished by a line, a horizontal line under the letter. Any one of those combinations will give you an A sound. Here's an A, 2 dots, horizontal dots, 3 hanging grapes. That is the A sound. Here's the E sound. A dot under the letter is an E sound. A dot under the letter, and then next to it you have the letter Yud, which is the 10th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's the smallest letter, and it's used occasionally to help grammatically. So Yud after a letter with a dot underneath, that will give you an E sound. Here is an O sound, a letter, and a Vav next to it, and a dot on top. The dot on top, O. And then the Vav is the 6th letter of the Hebrew Aleph Bet, and it's used again as grammatical helper. And in this case, you have a letter and a Vav and a dot on top. That will give you an O sound. The U sound, you have either one of those two. 3 diagonal dots under the letter will give you an U sound. Also, if you have a letter and a Vav and a dot in the middle, that will give you an U sound too. The last one, of course, is the sound. 2 dots under the letter. Let's take a look at the Hebrew letters and see all of the letters from beginning to end, what they look like. The Hebrew letter song helps you to remember the letters. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pei, Tzadik, Kuf, Resh, Shin, Tav. That's the whole thing, the southwestern melody for the Hebrew letters. Now, today, this time, we are going to continue with the letter Samech. The letter Samech is the 60th numerical value 60, and that's how you draw the Samech. You start at the top, front to back, like you start many of the letters. Then you go, this one is unique. You go half a circle down, like an ellipse. That is the Samech. And if we look at it closely, so you can see the way it's written. This is the Samech. Let's take a look at a few words that are written with Samech. First of all, the name of the letter itself. What does it mean? Here is the name, Samech, Samech Mem, and a Kaf. In this case, it's a Kaf Sofit. We have an A sound and an A sound. We have the letter Samech with an A sound right from here, Sa. The letter Mem with an A sound from here, Me. And the letter Kaf, Sofit. Why is it Kaf Sofit? Because it happened to fall at the end of the word. That's what Sofit means. It's an ending letter. There are 5 of those in the Hebrew alphabet. When they fall at the end of a word, they change the graphical form. Kaf is one of them. So this is the word Samech, which is the name of the letter Samech. What does it mean? To rely, to lean. If I lean against the wall, I'm doing something that is derivation of Samech. If somebody relies on me to do something, that's the word that is used is a derivation of samech. So here is the word. Let's see what else comes in samech. How about this one? Let's read this word. We have a samech and a vav and a dot in the middle. That combination comes right from here, which is an u sound. We have a letter and a vav and a dot in the middle. So we have a samech and a vav and a dot in the middle. That is read su. And then we have another samech, sus. Sus happened to be in Hebrew a horse. This is why Dr. Seuss is Dr. Horsey in Hebrew. But that's a word for sus, for a horse. Here is another good word. Samech, Bet, Aleph. Samech with an A sound, right from A, Sa. We have a Bet with a dot in the middle. That's a B sound. That dagesh, dot in the middle, that makes it a B sound and not a soft V sound, if it wasn't there. And an A sound underneath. The word ends with an Aleph with no vowels. Because it has no vowels, it has no sound in this particular case, and the Aleph is here for grammatical reasons. Now let's read the word. Sa-ba. Saba is a grandfather. Remember that Abba is a father, right? The word Av is a father, and the concept of the letters tells us that this is the leader or the master of the house. The Bet represent a home, so the master of the home, the leader of the home. Now, Sav, here's your Sav, tells us that it's what the home relies on. You remember that the letter Samech represent reliance, or leaning on, or trusting. So the Sav, which is the grandfather, is what the home relies on. Relies on the experience, relies on the wisdom, relies on the person and his lifetime experience. So Sav and Av. Just to continue in this vein, the word for a grandmother is Savta. And it's written this way, Samech, Bet, Tav, and an Aleph. We have a Samech with an A sound. If we zoom on it, we can see it better. We have a Samech with an A sound. We have a Vet in this case because the Bet, the letter Bet, does not have the dot or the dagesh in the middle. That makes the Vet softer. It's not a B sound, it's a V sound. And we have an sound underneath. So Sav. Then we have a Tav, which is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. We'll get there in a while. And with an A sound, Sav, Ta. And it ends with an Aleph. It has no vowels, therefore it's silent, and it's here for grammatical reasons. Savta is a grandmother. What else can we do with the letter Samech? How about this? We'll make a miracle from the Samech. We have a Nun with an A sound and a Samech. Nes. Nes is a miracle in Hebrew. Nes. Another word that most of you know, let's make some room on the board. And this word is used by all of us, even in America, and that is this. We have a samech with an a sound, nun, dalet, and a lamed. Let's read that. We have a samech with an a sound, that's sa, nun with an sound, n, sun. Then we have a dalet with an a sound, da, and a lamed. San, dal. Sandal happened to be a Hebrew biblical word for a sandal. We use it all the time. How about this word? I'm sure a lot of you know that word. Here it is. Samech, Yud, Gimel, Resh, Yud, Hey. Here are the vowels. How to read it? We have a samech with a yud next to it and a dot underneath. And here it is. If you look at the vowels right here, if you can see it, then that is an E sound when you have a yud next to a letter. And you also have a dot underneath. That combination exists here. We have a samech and a yud and a dot underneath. So that will be an E sound, C. C. Then we have a gimel with an a sound, ga. Then we have a resh with an sound, r, cigar. Then we have yud and an a sound and a hey with no vowels. It's read si, ga, r, ya. Cigaria is a cigarette in Hebrew. So unfortunately, a lot of people know that word. Of course, if we cut it shorter and we'll make it into a C, ga, r, cigar. That's the resh, that's the R sound. Cigar, that will be the word. Another short word that we can use is this one. How about samech, mem? That mem is going to be mem sofit, an ending mem, because it's the end of the word. And put an a sound here. We have a samech with an a sound and a mem. That mem, because it's at the end of the word, it's an ending mem, that form, graphical form. And the word is read sam. Sam in Hebrew is either a poison or a medicine, some kind of a concoction that has medicinal effects, either good or bad. Sam. The next letter I want to show you is the letter ayin. Let's talk about ayin for a minute. If we want to look at the string of letters, just to see where the ayin is, we did lamed, mem, nun, samech, ayin. So the ayin stands right here. It does not have an ending form, so it's just the letter. And if you look at the Aleph Bet book, you will see stroke by stroke how to make the ayin. I will demonstrate it here too, but those of you who have the book, you'll be able to look at it, see it demonstrated, and also practice it. Let's take a look at the ayin. Make some room on the board. And here is the ayin, which is, by the way, numerical value 70. And this is how we write the ayin. We go top to bottom, straight. Then we go straight to meet that corner. So we make a 90 degree. And if you focus on it, you can see the details of how we do this. You go down, you create the base at 90 degrees, and then you hit that corner right in the middle, just like that. That is the ayin. You go 90 degrees, and then you hit that corner right in the middle. Ayin. So the base is pretty long, the whole space of the universe that we created, that square. Now what ayin means, the word ayin is spelled this way. You have an ayin, yud, and a nun sofit, because it's in the end of the word. Otherwise, it would have been a nun, like that. The vowels, we have an a and a yi. So this yud is a consonant. It is not there just for grammatical reasons, like in some of the cases, but in this case, it has a vowel, so it has a sound. So it is a consonant. It is a letter. We have an ayin with an a sound, a. Then we have a yud with an e sound, yi, and a nun sofit, ayin. What does ayin mean? In Hebrew, ayin means an eye. So ayin is an eye. And in English also we say eye, which comes from ayin. So it's the same word, the derivation from Hebrew. Let me see. Now, what ayin really means? Ayin means this. You have a mountain or a place where there is water underground, and there is a small opening, and the water comes out of this opening. That's a spring in English. In Hebrew, that place, that connection of the eye is called ayin. That is the place where the inside and the outside connect. This is why we call this an eye, because that is the connection between the inner person and the outside. When we meet someone, we don't look at their nose or look at their ears or look at their knees. We look at their eyes, because that is the opening to the soul. That is telling us something about that person that we just met. We want to find out what they're about. We look at their eyes, because that is the opening that tells us about the inside. So that's what eye means. That's what ayin means. Ayin is a spring. Or the derivation from it would be eye, the human eye. Now, how do we use that letter? First of all, let's spell the name of the letter. So we have ayin, yud, and a nun sofit, like we did before, and that is ayin, the name of the letter. A word that comes out of it, that is using the letter, is this: ayin, daled, nun. We have an ayin with an a sound. We have a dalet with an a sound. A, De, and a Nun Sofit. Why is it Nun Sofit? Because it happened to fall at the end of a word. So that's the graphical form has changed, but nothing else. We have Ayin with an A sound, A, De, N, Eden. Now, there was a place called Gan Eden. Gimel with an A sound, Nun Sofit, ending Nun, is Gan, which is a garden. And Eden is an Ayin and a Dalet and a Nun Sofit. Eden was translated as Eden. So it's a Garden of Eden, Gan Eden. What does the word Eden means? It means something delicate, like delicacy. Adin. So Gan Eden is the garden of delicacies, the garden where everything in it was a supreme work of art, so to speak. From the food, from the trees, the animals, everything in it was joyously done and beautifully done. Gan Eden, something that created the feeling of being in joy. How about this one? I'm sure a lot of people will recognize the word I'm about to write here. Actually, two words. Here is an Aleph with an A sound and a Lamed. El. The second word is Ayin with an A sound, A, and a Lamed, Al. El Al happened to be the Israeli airline, El Al. And what it means is, El is a direction, going in a direction. Al means up. So it's directed upwards. El Al. Here is a short word. We have an Ayin with an A sound, A, and a Zayin, Ez. Ez is a goat. But this one, Ayin, Zayin, Hey, is read Ayin with an A sound, A, Zayin with an A sound, Za, and a Hey with no vowel, which gives you a silent letter. Azza. Azza is the Hebrew name for that dreadful place. That is, we call it today Gaza. Okay? But Azza is a biblical name. That's where the Philistines resided, one of the cities of the Philistines. That's Solomon, not Solomon, but Samson had some of his skirmishes with the Philistines. And Azza is the name of the city. And it comes from Az, as you can see, the goat, which means fierce or very adamant, very strong in will. So Azza is a place of strong will, of causing problems. So even in the name, it's implied. Another word that we use in English is this, Yedi'ah. The letter Yud with an sound, Ye, the letter Dalet and a Yud next to it and a dot underneath. That makes an E sound, D. And the Ayin with an A sound and a He with no vowel. Yedi'ah. Yedi'ah, all it is the word that we use in English is idea. Idea. So get some ideas from Hebrew words that you can read. Thank you for joining us in learning something about reading and writing Hebrew today. I hope that this program will motivate you to continue in your quest for more knowledge and understanding of God's Word. I would like to invite you to visit our website at musicfromgod.com, to explore some of our products and Hebrew learning aids.